Hi everyone. My third eye is really doing a number on me, so if I'm squinting a lot and I seem to get my information wrong, please forgive me. But I really had to make this video. I will try and be as quiet as I can because this is just way too important to not talk about. So first of all, I would like to say rest in power to Marcellus Williams, who was wrongfully executed on the 24th of September 2024 by the state of Missouri in the US. Now, a lot of people are simplifying the case of Marcellus Wallace, basically putting it down to racism. And whilst this is true, there is a lot more to the story than meets the eye. And there is a distinct connection between the case of Marcellus Wallace, Governor Mike Parson, and Donald Trump and the TI community. And when you see how it all ties together, you will really have a clearer picture as to how the TI community has been wrapped up in the far-right movement for decades at this point, okay? So first of all, let's go back. Let's take this back to the case of Marcellus Williams, okay? So there was a news reporter and a social worker called Felicia Gale who was murdered in 2003, and Marcellus Wallace was convicted of the crime. At the time that US citizens and representatives and even his own prosecutors tried to appeal to Mike Parson to talk down Williams's execution, he was 55 years old. Because there was new evidence that had come to light that some of the DNA that was found at the crime scene where Felicia Gale was killed did not belong to Marcellus Williams. So literally everybody tried to talk down Mike Parson, or Mike, I think it's Mike Parsons his name. Literally everybody tried to talk down Mike Parsons and get him to change his mind about what's going on, but he basically refused to double down, and he just said, no, I'm still going through with it, and he went through with it, and now an innocent man is dead because of it. And yes, it is racism, but I'll explain why in a minute. Now, Mike Parson has a reputation for sticking to his guns even when he is completely wrong on an issue, and this is a textbook move straight out of the laws of power. The 48 laws of power. One of the laws of power is to never admit you're wrong, and to instead flip it to make sure that you not backing down is seen as something that is going to benefit everyone else. So not only are you refusing to take responsibility for getting something wrong, you're acting like in the process of doing that, you're actually benefiting other people. Now, one example where Mike Parson has done this, I got this from Zevi Universe, by the way, on TikTok. I will link his TikTok. I got this from Zevi Universe. Basically, there was a government website in which teachers' social security numbers were found, like right there in public for everyone to see. And there was a journalist who alerted the governor and said, look, there's social security numbers all over that government website. Everybody can see it. You really need to do something about it. And apparently Mike Parsons said, yeah, okay, we'll do something about it. But Mike Parsons, he promises to do something about it, but then what he does is he basically goes into the public. He makes a public conference and starts talking about hacking, that basically somebody hacked the government system, and that's how all these social security numbers of teachers got out, even though it's public information in America. You could easily look it up yourself if you live in America. So he got online and he started saying that the Missourian government was hacked, or the website was hacked, which is why all these teachers' social security numbers got out. Now, for those of you who don't think that there's a connection there, allow me to explain. Like I said before, it's straight out of the laws of power. You don't admit when you're wrong, and then you flip that supposed error of yours into something that is framed to help others. How he does this is to talk about hacking. Now, hacking is a dog whistle. We've all talked about hacking when it comes to how, when it comes to Antifa. When the left talk about hacking, they're talking about Russia, they're talking about foreign countries hacking into computer systems. When you're dealing with Democrat voters and they talk about hacking, they're usually talking about Russia, stuff like that, right? But when the right wing talk about hacking, they're usually talking about Antifa, they're talking about China, they're talking about, they might even be talking about gang stalkers. Because remember, Donald Trump, Trey Gowdy, and Tucker Carlson, and Kellyanne Conway, before she left the Republican Party, all of these people were canvassing for votes from people who believe themselves to be targeted individuals, on top of all the people who enjoyed toughness on crime, especially for Black and brown people. Okay, so when Mike Parsons got up there on the public stage and started talking about hacking, that was a direct appeal to the conspiracy theorist crowd, the MAGA conspiracy theorist crowd, and also targeted individuals who genuinely have been hacked. So that was a motherfucking dog whistle in order to win votes. So it's multi-layered. So from that one incident that could have been easily solved, and that could have been easily resolved, he made a big fucking drama out of it. And on top of that, he dog whistled for people that he wanted to get his votes from. That's what he did. He turned it into an opportunity to get votes. Again, watch Zevi Universe on TikTok. He explains it beautifully. He doesn't explain about like the dog whistling stuff. That's me. But like, he explains it beautifully. He explains everything beautifully. So when Mike Parson got up on that podium and started talking about we were hacked, this, that, and the third, again, understand that's a dog whistle. It was a dog whistle for those who are anti-China. It was a dog whistle for those who are anti-Antifa, because a lot of people blame Antifa for hacking or anonymous or something like that, right? And that's also a dog whistle for targeted individuals as well, because we get hacked on the fucking regular. Do you understand what I'm saying? That motherfucker right there, hacking, that's a dog whistle to get votes. So he has a history of doing shit like that, of basically using a situation to get votes from the American public. And when it came to Marcellus Wallace, the reason why he doubled down and went through with the execution anyway was because his voters, the people who like to, vote for Republicans and vote for people like him, they like governors who are tough on crime, but especially for Black and brown people. That's one of the reasons why I believe that Marcellus Wallace was executed, but there's another reason as well. I'll go into that in a minute. For the meantime, I have to talk about the white couple that were pardoned. They were apparently from Missouri as well. And Mike Parsons basically pardoned them because they were just exercising their freedom. So again, that appeals to a certain crowd who like people who are tough on crime, and tough especially on anyone who is Black or brown, or anybody who's seen as agitators, right? And I need to bring this up because even though we don't have American football over here, it is a huge industry. So I do need to talk about this. We also have, I think his name is Britt Reed. He apparently put a 5-year-old in a coma for 11 days after he got drunk, and pushed, apparently drove past the speed limit. And that child now has brain damage. now has a brain injury, and now he's in special ed. And Mike Parsons pardoned him. So he pardoned him. He pardoned the white couple firing weapons at BLM protesters that were most likely unarmed. So he pardoned those two. But when it came to Marcellus Wallace, who was clearly innocent, now we have an innocent soul dead. An innocent soul who dedicated his life to being religiously devout. He was a Muslim. Oh, and I forgot, Islamophobia plays into this too. So with Marcellus Williams, not Wallace, I keep calling him Wallace. Forgive me, Marcellus. But Marcellus Williams, he was a devout Muslim man. He was very spiritual. He loved his God. Okay, he turned to his God in prison. He turned to Allah in prison. And he was very devout. He was, he was really doing the best that he could to turn his life around after being wrongfully convicted, and he was still killed because of that dog whistling, for being tough on crime, and also for being tough on potential terrorists, because Muslims are still treated as terrorists in America. And there's also something deeper to this that I really shouldn't say, but I'm going to anyway. When I pulled a card on Donald Trump, I got the devil card. Now, usually when I get the devil card in a reading, it's usually to do with, getting messages from above that are coming down, like the downward facing pentagram. It's something it's downward facing. It's coming from spirit downwards. Do you understand what I'm saying? The wisdom, it's coming from spirit downwards rather than going upwards. Rather than us evolving, which is the upright pentagram, we're receiving messages from down here, and we are using primal energies, to proceed forward in the world. So usually the devil means something more esoteric than that. It means something more esoteric, less on the nose, less satanic. Do you understand what I mean? The devil card, it usually means something like not satanic at all, and instead has everything to do with egregores and magical currents and religions and fate and all that kind of stuff. But I got the devil card for Trump because Trump sold his soul a long time ago. He's part of a cabal of Freemasons. And I believe, like I said before, the most powerful and dangerous magicians in the world are white supremacist rich men. Because they are the ones, out of every single other magician and wizard in the world, they are the ones that are not afraid to take a life. Marcellus Williams was an unwilling, in my opinion, I shouldn't say this, but in my opinion, it looks like that unfortunate innocent soul was also an esoteric sacrifice for Mike Parson to retain his power, or to retain some level of protection. That is my personal belief. It is my personal belief that the Republicans, or not just the Republicans, the Democrats as well, it is my personal belief that powerful people pay for their wealth with blood. And I'm not talking about blood from their own bodies now. I'm talking about blood. The sacrifice of innocent life through various means. Now, I said that Marcellus Williams might have been, a sacrifice. And I know it's a really big leap to say something like that, which is why I say I don't say this as fact. It's just my belief. But what I know of powerful people on all sides is that they make a bargain with some very powerful forces in the spirit world. They make bargains with very powerful forces. And when they make those bargains, lives are taken. Do you understand? Lives are taken in order for them to do what they do. And I believe that Marcellus Williams was a part of that sacrifice. Maybe not directly. Maybe that he was an unknown black man to somebody like Mike Parsons. So I believe that maybe not a direct sacrifice, but definitely a sacrifice of some kind in order for Mike Parsons to retain his power. Though only time will tell whether that sacrifice actually works or not. But yes, Marcellus Williams was absolutely killed because of racism. He was absolutely killed to appeal to the vote of those who are tough on crime, even though Marcellus Williams was literally innocent. Even his family, even not his family, even Felicia Gale's family, who most likely still doubted his innocence, were calling for life imprisonment. They did not want that man dead. They did not want that man dead. They made it very clear they wanted life imprisonment for him. The Missouri representatives wanted Marcellus Williams to live. They wanted him to live. Millions of Americans said the same thing. We want him to live. He was still executed to buy votes from those who want to be tough on crime. So yes, Marcellus Williams was absolutely killed because of racism. And again, TIs are swept up in that shit. The amount of TIs that I have had to unfriend because the second they saw black or brown people getting out of line, now they want to bring their guns out. I've had to unfriend TIs because of that. The amount of TIs that are getting behind Trump, getting behind Gowdy, getting behind people like Tucker Carlson, getting behind people like Kellyanne Conway, just because they managed to throw a few cheap phrases, dog whistling targeted individuals, dog whistling people who have been under psychiatric abuse. Alex Jones did the same thing. This is decades in the making. At the same time that Freemasonry was being exposed and the human trafficking of gang stalking was being exposed, around the same time that was happening, the white supremacist movement was growing. All of this is intertwined. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? That's the type of fuck shit we're dealing with. Well, that's the type of fuck shit that the US is dealing with from Mike Parsons. Us over here in the UK, we're dealing with that fuck shit from different politicians here. They've done the same thing over here. They've intertwined TIs and electrosensitive people, that's TIs, with white supremacy. I went to that fucking electrosensitivity conference in Devon last year. I was the only motherfucking black person in there. Maybe 2 biracial women, but full black, I was the only one there. That is strategic. That is for a reason. And in the meantime, we're getting misinformation that it's only foreign powers that are doing it, when there is no way in hell. Like MI5 and MI6 have got information on everybody in the fucking UK. There is no way in hell that foreign powers are about to come into this country, fuck people's lives up, as many British people's lives up. There is no way that foreign powers are going to be able to get away with that, and MI5 don't smell a rat. There's no way. But this is exactly what I'm talking about with Mike Parsons, Donald Trump. Like the right wing, right wing has been following along right alongside the Killuminati exposure. It's been following right alongside that, and we're seeing that in real time. So Mike Parsons has been dog whistling TIs as well as dog whistling white supremacists. Donald Trump has been dog whistling TIs, dog whistling incels, dog whistling white supremacists. Trey Gowdy has been dog whistling TIs, dog whistling white supremacists. Only Trey Gowdy has been more direct about it, because he got in another representative's grill about cruel and unusual punishment towards Americans going through gang stalking. Called it cruel and unusual punishment. He called it. I can't remember what her name is, Kellyanne something. I wrote it on my Instagram. But Trey Gowdy more directly appealed to targeted individuals through this. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew that they were about to be exposed for their role in making targeting happen in the first place. They knew they were about to be exposed for that, so they made sure to start at grassroots movements. At the same time the Illuminati were being exposed, they made sure to slide alt-right pipeline shit in there, like Holocaust denial and white supremacy and the incel bullshit that we see today. I was in university when I was seeing this shit happen. I was in uni at the time when I saw this shit happen. That's almost 2 decades ago. That's almost 2 decades ago. I was seeing that shit in 2000, 2006, 2007. It is now 2024. Almost 2 fucking decades. And I didn't even catch it at the beginning of when all of this was going on. We can maybe go even further back. We could probably go back into the 90s when I was literally 5 or 6 years old. That this shit was being talked about, that this shit was being slowly seeped into mainstream society through counterculture and through grassroots movements. All these motherfuckers had to do was take the same problems they've been creating, appeal to grassroots movements, take the same problems that they created in the first place, because the far right, white supremacists, they're the ones with the fucking money. So all this targeting that we're experiencing is down to far right ideals. It is not down to the fucking left. At all. So they take these same problems with gang stalking that they have created to begin with, intergenerational gang stalking that they created, strongly hierarchical alchemical fraternities that they have been a part of. They take these things, expose these things, and make themselves look like the saviors. And it has worked so far. And they've taken it one step further with this Diddy case, exposing La Boule, throwing Haitians under the bus, like with Donald Trump throwing Haitians under the bus. So that the truth about corruption coming out is being tied with whiteness and tied with white is right ideology. They've conflated the two, when really it was white supremacy that gave birth to all this corruption to begin with. Like, mankind have been corrupt before white supremacy. Let's not get it twisted. But all the corrupt institutions as we know them today were started with white supremacy, with white men in power. But what they've done is they've foreseen how their movement, how all their colonialism and capitalism, how all of that could go wrong. And what they've done is they've timed it just right to appeal to people who are being ignored by the same status quo that they're upholding through putting money first. That's what's happening here. That's how people like Marcellus Williams ended up being executed, even when he did nothing fucking wrong. That poor man's life was laid at the altar of corruption and lies and deceit and dark fucking magic. And it's not the kind of dark magic that's being used to actually, I don't know. It's not white magic. It's not good magic. These people are using not even just dark magic, but magic of the darkest kind you could think of to continuously reinforce white supremacy and get out of wrongdoing, get out of their crimes. There are Nazis out there with fucking grimoires specifically designed to re-uphold their own supremacy. This shit is serious. You have no idea how serious this shit actually is. It's fucking wild, the type of shit that's out there. And I shouldn't even be giving no one ideas, because I've got these people up here, racist as fuck, waiting for an opportunity to do something. I shouldn't even be talking. I shouldn't even be talking. I should not even be talking and giving nobody ideas. But do you understand how racist this fucking community of like, no, you have no idea the amount of darkness there is in the world. No idea at all. And whilst these white supremacist mages and witches are going ham right now, you've got Haitian people being thrown under the bus just for practicing their religions, being accused of eating pets and shit. You've got people like Marcellus Williams being killed when he's done nothing wrong. You've got people, you know, innocent black people, you know, waiting to get out who have been waitlisted. Meanwhile, you got people like fucking Mike Parsons, apparently trying and failing to spend $800,000 on private companies to survey information on constituents in Missouri. That bid was unsuccessful, but you get the picture. We've got these motherfuckers misappropriating funds. Trump's been indicted on 34 counts of fucking, what was it I wrote down here? He's been indicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records. 34 counts. He's still running for president. That's dark. That's dark magic. That's dark magic. That's favors being called. That's darkness. And when it comes to Donald Trump, he endured, you know, it won't surprise you guys to know, he endorsed Mike Parsons. He endorsed the Missouri governor. Started in 2019. In 2019, when Donald Trump was still president, he endorsed Mike Parsons for Missouri governor. The Missouri governor was a part of the Republican Party, and Donald Trump endorsed him. Wanted people to vote for Mike Parsons. And then after Trump was acquitted in 2020 for the January 6th insurrection, Parson in turn turned around and supported Trump. So they're shaking hands, patting each other's backs, all that. Doing all that. Yeah. And you have to remember 2020, when it came to when it came to the January 6th insurrection, which Donald Trump was personally inciting, everybody remembers that. Yeah, allegedly. I have to say allegedly because, you know, that's for fuck's sake. I have to say Donald Trump was allegedly inciting the January 6th insurrection. Donald Trump and his team. But he was acquitted, and Parsons basically said, thank God he's been acquitted, now we can get on with important shit. But the January 6th insurrections were also tied to targeted individuals by targeted individuals themselves. I was there when there was, you know, at least one TI saying, well, the January 6th insurrection, there's TI stuff attached to that too. So again, they've been using TI, spreading that information that the people from the January 6th insurrection were fighting for TIs. Apparently they killed a guard because they were fighting for us. Like, what the fuck? Okay. This is exactly what I'm talking about. TIs have been caught up in the lie. And now they're caught up in the lie to the point where black, white, doesn't matter. They're going behind white supremacist lunatics. When we know as targeted individuals, there are TIs of all different races, religions, Christians, Muslims, Wiccans, pagans, spiritualists, agnostics, it doesn't matter. There are TIs of every walk of life here. And yet we've been hoodwinked into believing that like it's only Christians and evangelists being targeted because of the likes of Trey Gowdy, because of the likes of Donald Trump, because of the likes of fucking Mike Parsons. Because of the likes of those people. That's why people, you know, TRs are walking around thinking that just because they're Christian, that's why they're targeted. When really it's because of government ties to private intelligence security companies, or private security companies and private intelligence companies. Our information is being handed over to private companies who do not have the best interests of the public in mind. They have profit in mind. And in the meantime, they're going to use small groups of different populations to traffic in the meantime by giving them untested drugs, testing out electronic weapons that haven't been sanctioned yet. All of this is tied. White supremacy, TIs, Magick, all of that is tied. All of that is tied. So don't think for 1 second that none of this is relevant and none of this has anything to do with white supremacy and TIs. Yeah, we're about to see all of this shit unfold, and everybody is about to see what the agenda has really been when it's far too late. As for the Democrats' hands are not clean either. Neither Repubs or Democrats have their hands clean, but you have to understand that these alchemical societies operate in a hierarchy. And the hierarchy goes up to whoever's skin is paler and whoever has a dick. And the only reason why there are so many monsters in La Boule or any black alchemical societies, the only reason for that is because the gatekeepers are the ones who have the most to lose, so they have to be the most ambitious. That's it. That's all. That's the only reason. But the higher you go up the ladder is the worse people that you actually have to deal with. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not intelligent, but they're cunning and they know what they're doing. So yeah, TIs are being lied to. You got Mike Parsons, Missouri governor, using the death of an innocent man to appeal to a bloodthirsty crowd of people who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Hey, Lauren. And then you've got Donald Trump in the mix. Donald Trump is still in the mix even when he's not doing anything. So whilst all of this is coming out about P. Diddy and, you know, all that type of stuff, we're still forgetting about Donald Trump, or we're still forgetting about white supremacy. White supremacy has a huge role in all of this. In fact, it's at the core of all of this. The whole reason for gang stalking in the first place is because they didn't want black and brown people in the country, in the US or the UK. That's the whole reason this whole fucking thing started. They wanted to use black and brown bodies, use black and brown labor and resources for as long as they could, then get rid of us the second we start thinking, you know what, maybe we should be fairly compensated for all the resources that have been used from our countries. Maybe we should be compensated for Mike Parson. Is it Mike Parson? Is it Mike Pearson? No, it's Mike Parsons, Missouri governor. He executed a gentleman called Marcellus Williams. Marcellus Williams was originally convicted for the murder of a woman called Felicia Gale. And that was the reason why he ended up in prison in the first place. But new information came out that he might be innocent of the crime. So the family actually called for life imprisonment. They were willing to be talked down to life imprisonment. And his own prosecutor said we should abandon the death sentence. Millions of Americans said we should abandon the death sentence. Representatives in Missouri said we should abandon the death sentence. But ultimately, it was down to the governor to decide whether to go through with the execution or not. So Mike Parsons, governor of Missouri, decided to go through with it. He decided to through with the execution. And what I've been explaining very poorly is how Marcellus Williams's death was used to ultimately gain votes from people who like to be tough on crime, especially when it's black and brown people. And I was explaining the connection between white supremacy, dark magic, white supremacy, and the targeted individual community being lied to. So I was making the connection between all of those three things, if that makes sense. I was making it very poorly. I'm all over the place when it comes to explaining this stuff. But yeah, that's basically the gist of the video, why I came on this video tonight. So I hope that makes sense, Lauren, if you're still with me. So yeah, there's a lot of dark shit going on. There's a lot of dark shit going on. And Donald Trump, he's not the devil. He's an employee. He's not the devil. But he's a very evil man. He's just, I don't know if he's an evil man, but he's definitely an evil toddler in a man's body. And when it comes to this Mike Parson guy, he's just, he's just differently involved. That's exactly what it is, Lauren. When it comes to Mike Parson, I don't know his character like that. I've never seen him speak or anything like that. But he seems to me to be the kind who's obsessed with power, so he knows exactly how to get it. Even if he's not that intelligent, even if he's not that so-called learned, he knows how to get and keep power. So him doubling down on his decision-making and then flipping it to make it look like he actually cares about his voters, that's something that's kind of on brand for somebody like that who is obsessed with power. And again, TIs have been dragged into it because just like over here in the UK, where targeting is being blamed mostly on foreign powers, when truth be told, like, targeting was specifically designed to kill off anybody who wasn't white and British in the first place. It was specifically designed to kill anybody who wasn't white and British or who didn't serve British interests to begin with. It was designed entirely for that. So it was designed entirely for that, and yet it's being painted as if, you know, it's Russia that's responsible, or if it's BRICS that's responsible. Don't get me wrong, I think BRICS could definitely do it, but it's like they're more likely to do it to their own citizens than us. Do you understand? But people like, you know, people like the far right in our country and people like the far right in the US, they like to do this whole, we're tough on crime, basically meaning we're tough on black and brown people, and we legitimize it. This whole thing that they're doing, they're connecting it to the TI community, to TIs being terrorized. That's how they connect it. And think about the people that are mostly hired to target black and brown people, other black and brown people, other poor people. All of this is being used strategically. So that's what I'm trying to explain. I don't explain it very well, but that's what I'm explaining here. So all of this, everything that I've stated, all of it, you can look it up online. When it comes to the conjecture of, well, it's not even conjecture, like the magical thing, Trump being connected to Freemasonry, Putin being connected to Freemasonry, it's all there. You can look it up yourselves. It's a shell game. It's a shell game. And they're all involved. Do you understand what I mean? They're all involved in dark magic. And again, there's a hierarchy. The more powerful the people get, the more witchcraft is likely to have been involved to maintain their power. Why do you think they don't want ordinary people doing witchcraft? It's not because they want you to be moral. It's not because they care about your morals. It's because they need as many innocent bodies as possible to buffer. like this sounds awful to say, but they need as many innocent bodies as possible to provide as sufficient sacrifices for the work that they're actually doing. That's A. B, they do it because they don't want anybody else to ascend to power. All of these people we're talking about, all of these people that want to be tough on black and brown crime, they're not tough on white crime. They're not tough on white collar crime. They're not tough on any of that. They're not tough on police corruption. They're not tough on government corruption. They're not tough. They just call that small government and free market. They're not tough on that, but they want to be tough on marginalized communities doing the same shit. They're not doing it for your morality. They're not doing it for anybody's morality. They're doing it for their own power. They're doing it entirely for their own power. So this whole thing about painting God-fearing Haitians, like mostly God-fearing Haitians and mostly very religious, very disciplined Haitian people as fucking witches and who eat pets and shit. That is strategic. It's strategic. Again, it's got nothing to do with morality and everything to do with power and eliminating the competition by getting everybody else to look at the competition unfavorably. But Trump is not the devil. I got the devil card for him, but he's not the devil. He's a puppet of the devil. He's an employee. He's evil. He's an evil toddler, like I said before, but he's not the devil himself. But there's a lot of stuff that you guys don't know about the way they operate. And it's scary stuff. It's scary stuff. Yeah. Oh. I think I fucked that up, honestly. I don't think I explained it very well at all. But I'm gonna leave as many links as I can detailing the information of everything that I've talked about tonight, including the Magick stuff. So, you know, you look at somebody like me who loves the occult. I love that shit. But like, you know, when you really think about, you know, how black people are accused of this, that, and the third, when it comes to spiritual practice, even me, even the accusations that are leveled at me. Like, my God, compare that to fucking using human life as a sacrifice. It makes you realize how ridiculous that shit is. And let's be absolutely clear, it's not the, black folk, we don't have any evil people that will sacrifice life. It's not like we don't have that. But that will only get us so far. It will get the white supremacists a lot further, which is why they're better at doing it. Well, they're better at doing it, they're better at doing it, which is why they go further with their magic. Look at the amount of people they're willing to subjugate, willing to kill, just to be able to stay on top of the ladder. This shit is not a joke. In order to get to where you need to go, you have to make sacrifices. And you have to sacrifice something that's meaningful to you. Imagine how many black and brown bodies that these white supremacists are willing to sacrifice to stay on top. Because we don't mean anything to them. So how many of us are they willing to kill to appease the demons that they call? And when you think about it like that, it makes the shit that I do in my bedroom look ridiculous, bro. Like, the shit that I'm accused of doing, when you think about how white supremacists, wizards and magicians and all that, who don't even call themselves that, when you think about how they use the occult, it makes anything that I'm accused of look ridiculous. And use the things that I actually do look even more fucking ridiculous. But yeah, unfortunately, Marcellus Williams The governor pardoning racists and reckless rich people, like reckless rich white people, like, unfortunately, him, Trump, Gowdy, roping TI votes into this. It's all connected, unfortunately. We've been lied to. We've been bamboozled. The question that I'm trying to really ask myself here is not just for people on the left, because I've given people on the left a really hard time for being completely fucking arrogant and smug and just and still not getting it even after everything has been revealed to them. I've accused the left of a lot, but now I've got to ask conservatives some questions. Now I've got to ask conservatives some questions, because now you're starting to see unfold right in front of you just how evil and conscience-free Trump is and his ilk are. Now you're starting to see it in action. And I've got to ask you, you're seeing it now. Not that you'll ever admit you're wrong, but you're seeing it now. Why the fuck didn't you take action when you were warned? Why the fuck didn't you pull away from white supremacy when you were warned? The same way I can ask the left why they want to act like everything is so obvious now when they were warned decades before. I could ask the right the same thing about white supremacists and the alt-right. Now you're seeing everything unfold in front of you. Now you're appalled. Now it's so sad to see. Or maybe you're still in denial. Most likely you're still in denial. And you're still trying to make out like Trump, Gowdy, Tucker Carlson, and Mike Parsons and people like that have your interests at heart. Maybe you're still in denial. But I want to know why it takes innocent people dying for you to even begin to look up and realize you've been lied to. I want to ask the right-wing people that. I want to ask the Christians that. I want to ask the fucking TIs that are, straight conservative and all the rest of it. Why did you not see anything until now? And why are you still sticking your heads under the sand as if we're going to get justice because of it? You got some questions to answer too. And you got bigger ones than the left, because at least with the left, they have historical truth and evidence to go on. What did you have to go on other than the spells cast over you by stupid fucking white racist people? And I don't mean like they're stupid because they're white. I mean they're stupid because they're racist. But you get what I'm saying. What the fuck compelling evidence did you have, apart from lies and spin by dark wizards, by fucking like Death Eaters? Like what? Like what compelling evidence did you have for believing fucking Death Eaters apart from some cheap fucking words and maybe a couple of conferences? What evidence did you have that white supremacy was not at the root of all of this? Now I gotta ask you questions, because why the fuck didn't you see this? Why the fuck did you not see that you're being lied to, even to the point where innocent people are being killed, being sacrificed to be able to lie to you? Just not getting it at all. Just not getting it at all. Once again, poorer people, people who are on the fringes, people who are marginalized, are split amongst each other believing bullshit. And now it's resulted in an awful goddamn mess. Decades of trafficking, decades of death, decades of abuse that could have so easily been avoided if everybody would have just pulled together. And of course, we have to reckon with the fact that even after 34 indictments in a hush money case, Donald Trump is still running for fucking president. And he's had now, 3 near assassination attempts that he's most likely orchestrated himself. because these motherfucking things happen in threes, right? Occult stuff, it happens in threes. He's still running for president with 34 indictments of hush money charges. And that man was literally cleared of, of an insurrection that we all saw his team incite. You can't tell me there's not some dark fucking magic protecting that man. So yeah, what else do I need to say about this? I'm going to look up the links for all of this information that I've written down. I'm going to link Zevi Universe, link his video. He explains it succinctly and beautifully. Does a far better job than me. And I'm going to link Trey Gowdy with, with the cruel and unusual punishment. I've got to look that up on my Instagram and see if it's still there. It's probably still there. Yeah, I'm going to look up Kellyanne Conway. Yeah. I'm going to look up as many links as possible, post them, so you can have reference points for everything that I've spoken about tonight. But I want to go, but something tells me I'm forgetting something again. The joy of being a targeted individual in your late 30s. You forget shit. Yeah. Yeah. What was I going to say? When it comes to your enemies, whatever they accuse you of, look backwards. Because whatever it is that they accuse you of, if you're a marginalized person or a TI, whatever they're accusing you of, look into their practices. Because in order for them to believe their own shit, they have to be drawing from experience. Because they will use lies, but in order for those lies to be believable, they have to draw from their own experiences. And now I have to go. So, yeah. One more thing that I want to point out before I go that I didn't bring up before. The former chief of police resigned under Governor Mike Parsons, because Governor Mike Parsons wanted to establish more protection for gun laws, and the police chief was worried that it would lead to more harassment of police. Basically, he believed that it would lead to more unrest, so he left. And when it comes to COVID, if you look up how Mike Parsons handled COVID, once again, that's another TI dog whistle. Because a lot of us have been talking about the corruption behind, a particular, you know what I mean? So look up how Mike Parsons handled COVID. Look up how he handled it. That's another dog whistle to the QAnon crowd, to the TI crowd. Because we've been talking about how this illness has been spun for years now. A lot of people have been censored because of it. That's another dog whistle to TIs and anybody who believes that government corruption is real. Along with white supremacists, again, they're all like, they've been slowly grouped together for decades now. It's a slow burn thing. So yeah, talked about a lot tonight. It's very scary stuff, but it's very real, unfortunately. I love you guys so much. It is so late. It is It is midnight. It's coming up to midnight. It's midnight 26. So I'm gonna go. I'm sorry to like end Thursday and begin Friday on this very, very, very dark note, but hopefully you understand what's at stake. I love you guys. Peace and blessings. Take care. Bye bye, my darlings.